If a sign starts at the top or the sign start in the middle. So what do we remember from yesterday? Where does sign start? In the middle. So I'm going to just write that little pattern off to the side. I'm going to start at the middle. Then I go to the top. I come back to the middle, hit the bottom, and I end at the middle. That's for a sine wave. Okay. So let's start filling in this information. You have blank lines, and I think you need to add one more line. Okay. So what is the amplitude? 2. That tells us how far from the midline we go up or down. The period. So we're going to stick with a period of 2 pi because the formula says take 2 pi and divide it by whatever this number is. So we're going to start off by just keeping it 1. So our period is 2 pi. To find your horizontal shift, take the parentheses and set it equal to 0. So when I do that, so my horizontal shift, I'm going to abbreviate it HS. I'm going to take that x plus pi over 2 and set that equal to 0. Normally, because where does the unit circle start? At 0 degrees. So normally we would start here. But this is telling me to move my starting wall to a different place. So we got to solve that. So if it's h plus pi over 2, we are going to, what do we do? Add or subtract? Subtract. So we end up with x equals negative pi over 2. And because it's negative, that means that I'm going to go left pi over 2. So I'm going to draw a wall at pi over 2. And again, these are all optional. I just like to draw a lot of stuff. This is going to be the start. This is where I'm going to start my wave. Right there. Does this graph move up or down? In other words, where is the middle? Yes, Desire. Yeah, you're right. I was just playing. I was just making sure somebody was listening. Sometimes I do that kind of stuff on purpose. So we should be going left, not right. We're going left pi over 2. Thank you. Okay. Where is the middle? What is my midline? The number, it would be in the back. When you don't see a number, that means K is 0. So you can add that if you want to. This is just an invisible 0 back here, which means that I'm not going to shift vertically. So this will be none. And that also means that my midline is on the x-axis. Okay, so I'm going to show you the mathematical way to find the end, and then I'm going to tell you my way to find the end. Because my period is 2 pi, and I'm starting at negative pi over 2, I would have to add to that 2 pi because that is the period. It's telling me to add 2 pi to get to the end. All right, which means I would have negative pi over 2 plus 4 pi over 2, which would equal what? Three pi over 2. So I'm going to put my ending wall at 3 pi over 2, which would be here. So that is the mathematical reason why we end there. But just so you know, I have created the graph so that we're counting by 1/4. So every actual ticking mark represents pi over 4. And remember I put this yesterday. If your period is 2 pi, we're just hopping 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you don't, whichever way, you can either add 2 pi or you can just hop 8. Okay, both of them represent 2 pi. Okay, so we got that part. So now we got all of the nitty gritty that we need. So we're ready to get started. This is a sine wave. So we already said that sine starts in the middle. So my first point is going to be right here. Because remember, I'm starting it at negative pi over 2. Now, pi over 4 is the same thing as 90 degrees. All right. And I know we tend to do better with numbers that aren't fractions. So because my period is 360 degrees, what is 360 divided by 4? 90. So that would be, that would be 2 hops. So every 2 hops is 90 degrees. That's why I'm hopping twice before I make a change. So I'm going to go ahead and put my tiki marks. I'm going to put a point on here, here, here. See, I just spaced it 2 lines apart. So when you get to the next line, what am I going to do when I get to this my post? Do I stay? Do I go up or do I go down? Up. And how many do I go up? 2, because that's my amplitude. 1, 2. Put a point right here. Then I go back to my next mark. Does this one stay? Do I go up or does it drop down? It stays. All right, now I'm going to go back to my next post. What do I do here? Go down to right here. And then I end at the middle. This represents 1 full revolution. But remember, you have to show 2 full revolutions. Okay? So that means that if we had enough room, we could go that way. But we do have enough room to go this way. How many hops did I say from the start to the end? 8. So let's start here at negative pi over 2. Now I want you to go left 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm at negative 5 pi over 2. So I want you to continue this pattern until you get to this wall. So this is where I see a lot of McDonald's signs. And what I mean by that is, so remember, we got to put a point here, a point here, and a point here. A lot of students from this point like to go back up. So this is, and I call this the McDonald's sign. But do you go up? Because it's a pattern like this. If I was just at the top and now I'm at the middle, where should I be going? To the bottom, okay? Then I go back to the middle. I hit the top, back to the middle. Let's go ahead and trace it out. And that would be my full 2 revolutions graph. So our domain for every sine and cosine is all real numbers. And for this one, the bottom of my wave is negative 2. The top of the wave is positive 2. All right, let's do another one. We're going to keep on practicing, but the next one, I'm going to do one more with you, and I think the next one I'm going to have you all do it by yourself. Actually, I think I'm going to let y'all do the next one by yourself. I'll get you started, though. All right. Go ahead and copy this one down. And the only thing I'm going to help you with is the midline the start and the end, and you all do the rest. So Miles, what's my amplitude? 4. Aaron, what's the period?
2 pi.
2 pi. Horizontal shift. How do you find the horizontal shift? Toby, how do you find the horizontal shift? This right here. Set it equal to what? 0. Now, if you don't see a parentheses, that means you don't have a phase shift. Okay, maybe that's something else you want to say. If you don't see a parentheses around x, then we're just starting at 0. Okay? So when we solve this, am I going to add pi over 4 or subtract pi over 4? Add. So that means it's positive, which means that I'm going right pi over 4. Which is going to be right here. So let's talk about that because this is confusing for a lot of people. I think when we talk about degrees, since degrees aren't in fractions, we tend to understand that better. But pi over 4, if you remember from your unit circle, is the same as what? How many degrees is pi over 4? 45. Okay, so 45 degrees is half of 90 degrees. So we're counting, so every single mark is 45 degrees is what I'm trying to say. So this would be 0, 45, 90, 135, 180, 250. Okay, so this is counting by 45s. So this is where I'm gonna start. But I'm still going to end at 2 pi, which means that I have to add 2 pi. So this is my start. I have to add 2 pi to get to the end. Or you can just hop how many? 8. Hop 8. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we land right here. All right, where is the middle? Do I have a vertical shift?
You gotta go
Up 1. So I'm going to draw that in too. All right, you finish it. I'm going to come around and see what you get. Doesn't seem so bad. It looks intimidating. Luckily, you are my second class of the day, second pre-calc class of the day, so I have a chance to kind of think like, okay, this is what was confusing, so I'm gonna say it a different way. The main thing you need to remember is on that first grade wall, do I start on at the top of the wave, or am I on that pink line? Or am I at the bottom? That's the main thing you need to think about. You have to know the pattern for cosine. So once you get a revolution, I'll look at it.
I think I did it wrong.
Yeah, you did.
So
That's
what-
a sine wave.
Where does it start for cosine?
Look at your notes. Where do we start for cosine? Okay, I like that start. That's a good start. Where do we start for cosine? Do we start at the top or the middle?
Top.
Top. Yeah, hold on one second.
Yeah, loser.
I really didn't want to write this on the board. Y'all kind of make me write it on
No, you don't have to. Okay.
No, I don't think I'm gonna write which one it is. I'm just gonna write it in different colors.
No more on
So you have to remember, is green sine or cosine, is blue sine or cosine. All right, so let's go ahead and do it. So which one on the back? Then I know they look similar. I'm gonna write it in a different color. So Aaron, is it the green or is it the blue back there? Top one or bottom one? Top one. All right, so let's do it. So starting at this line right here, it says I have to go to the top. And what's my amplitude? So that means from this line, I got to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a point right there. Then I'm going to rotate 90 degrees, which will be right here. And I'm going to go to the middle. And then I'm going to go another 90 degrees, which is right here. And I'm going to go down 4 from the pink line. Down 4 from the pink line. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm right here at -3. And then I go back to the middle. And I end at the top. So this represents 2 pi. But on the test, you have to graph 2 periods, which will be 4 pi if this 2 pi. So from this gray line, how many hops to the left do I go? 8 again. Let's go 8. I'm going to put in another wall. And I want you to graph it until you get there. Continue the pattern. Does it help you to put marks? Maybe we should mark the midline. Does it help you to mark where you're going to put a point? Like, I know that I'm going to put a point at those spots. You can do that too. Mark it up whichever way you want to. So I'm already at the top, so I don't have any choice but to head down. So I'm going to go down to my midline. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom. I'm going back to the middle. And I end at the top. And that would be another full revolution. So now let me zoom out. What is my domain? All real numbers. Good job. Where is the bottom of my wave? -3. And where's the top of my wave? 5. All right, now I'm going to give you one to do on your own. I'm going to be here for support. Yes.
To find the horizontal shifts, you have to add it, or isn't that H
Right, so do you see how, okay, right, but then we're going to, in a second, we're going to do it where the period is not 2 pi. So you can just flip the sign, but if I put a number right here, you cannot do that. So that's why, in order to not have confusion, I say set it equal to 0. Okay, so last one, before we hit one that has a period change. So go ahead and do this one. Yes.
Wait, how do you know the period again?
So the formula for period is 2 pi. Ooh, can I spell? Can I start off by spelling it right? Okay. It's 2 pi over b. B is the number in front of x. That's where b is. That's where b is. So in this example, what's the number in front of x? 1. So to find my period, I'm taking 2 pi divided by 1, which is just still 2 pi. Okay? All right. So what I want to see when I walk around, I want to see the pattern you're going to use. I want to see where you're starting at. I want to see 2 walls, and I want to see a floor. That's what I want to see. I'm just seeing how many of you all are starting off right. Okay.
Look at this.
Like that.
Use the first part.
Like that. I think you're on the road.
We go up or down? Yeah, on the other one, so, like, when you go to the other side, go down. Wait, goes up or down? Oh, they started off.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, there's a bit of like, you go, when you go up. Yeah, you go up. You go up, you go down. You go up.
We all be confused. This is literally so easy.
You go to the middle, on both sides.
That looks like a McDonald's sign. I see the McDonald arches. We don't have the McDonald arches.
Is this right?
Yeah.
Wait. So you lied to me? I didn't finish.
No, that's it.
Oh, never mind. My fault.
At a glance, it was good. Which is what I would do, basically. I'm coming around.
Never mind. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. You get along, you tell me what to do. I don't get it. Wait, let me see what.
Mom's not in.
How did you find that?
Okay, so where do you start?
Yeah.
When you set, you have to set the parentheses to 0.
Yeah, that's what I did.
And solve it. So it's positive, so that means you're going right pi. Are you okay? So here, where's pi?
Where'd you get -1 and 5, bro?
That's your start.
Gotta go down 2,
Positive
0.
pi. All right, let's go ahead because I want us to be able to do at least one graph with a period change. So when we set our parentheses equal to 0, we get pi, which means I'm going right pi. What's my amplitude? 3. All right, let me pause right there. So because I'm going right pi, that means I'm starting it right here. Because my period is 2 pi, I want you to count 8 from here. Count 8 from this blue wall. And if you count 8, because we're at pi, would you agree that pi plus 2 pi is 3 pi? So I'm going to end it at 3 pi, which is 8 hops. Middle. Where is my middle? Where is the midline? 2. I'm going to draw that in 2. So it goes up 2. Okay, so we're ready. Sign. So I'm going to, when I do it, I got to put a point here. So every 2. Okay, so now I got to figure out, where do I start for sign? Do I start in the middle or do I start at the top? Middle. And I know for sign that it's middle, like I would normally for sign, I would put down those 3 right away. I think sign is a little easier. Then I know in between these 2, am I going to go to the top or am I going to go to the bottom? To the top. So how many hops do I have to go to get to the top? 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go up to 5. And then at 5 pi over 2, how many hops do I have to go down to get to the bottom? So where would that land me at? -1. And then we just need to continue that. Go in the opposite direction, 8. So I'm going to go ahead and put in one more wall, which will be at -pi. And I'm going to continue that. So if you go to the top, from here, and this is where, because you have to, can I have everybody's attention? You have to show 2 full periods. I've been teaching this a long time. A lot of people make the McDonald's arches, but you don't go back up. I just came from the top, so I can't go back to the top. I have to go to the bottom. So I'm going to the bottom. Then I go back to the middle. Then I can go to the top and back to the middle. So this would be my 2 full revolutions. My domain is all real numbers. And what's the bottom of my wave? -1. And what's the top of my wave? 5. All right, now let's go back to our note packet. Don't throw away that paper because we are going to have a lot more practice. Put that somewhere. If you want to staple it to the back of your packet, you can. All right, so going back to our notes, we are here. So this is where we should be. Is that the one you all have? No. Wait, which one do you all have? Wait, hold on. Is it this one? This one. That's the one? Okay. All right. So first thing first, amplitude is 2. Now, you see how I put a number right here. So my period is going to be 2 pi divided by 2. And what is 2 pi divided by 2? Pi. That's my period. Horizontal shift. Let's find that by setting our parentheses equal to 0. So this is why I said you can't just flip the sign. So this is a 2-step equation. The first thing I'm going to do is add pi. The second thing I'm going to do is divide by 2. So I'm going to start it at positive pi over 2, which means I'm going right. Pi over 2. It's invisible, but there is a 0 back here, which means we don't have a vertical shift. Okay. So now let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my midline in, which happens to be the x-axis. Okay. And now I'm starting at pi over 2. So let's think about it. Now, I'm going to show you the mathematical way. Instead of adding 2 pi to pi over 2, I'm adding pi to pi over 2. So the mathematical way would be, if I have pi over 2, if I have pi over 2 plus pi, to get a common denominator, what do I have to do? With this fraction, what do I have to do to get a common denominator? So then that would be pi over 2 plus 2 pi over 2. Let me put my invisible one right here. And what do you get when you add pi over 2 and 2 pi over 2? 3 pi over 2. That's my n. That's the mathematical way. Okay. The easier way would be if 2 pi is 8 hops, then pi would be what? 4 hops, because it's half. Okay, so either way, I do not care. I'm going to put my ending wall right here. And if you look at the distance between these two walls, it is pi. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the difference is, in the 2 pi examples, I would have to skip a vertical bar to get to where I'm going to plot a point. But now my points are happening faster. So I'm going to plot my points. I'm going to have a point here, 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 and here. So I'm not skipping. No skipping. We don't have time to skip because we got to get to the end faster. Okay, we have to get to the end of the revolution in pi instead of 2 pi. So when it was 2 pi, I could go slower. I could do, okay, I'm going to skip one and put one here. And I'm going to, no, we're not doing that. It's half as fast. So the Ferris wheel is going faster. So because it's going faster, I'm putting a point every single spot, every single hop. Okay, this is a cosine wave. Where do I start on a cosine wave? At the top. So if I put my pen right here, what do I have to do? Up 2. Hop up 2. 1, 2. So put a point at 2. So we're right there. And then we're going to go to the middle. Actually, let me put that in black. We're going to go to the middle, which is on 0. And then I'm going down 2. Back to 0, up 2. That's 1 revolution. So you need to do at least 1 more. So from this wall, I want you to go to the left. How many to get to my next wall? 4. So let's do that. So I need you to graph until you get to that blue wall, continuing the pattern. I think you all did pretty good on that one, but we're going to keep going though. Not today, but when we come back. So I'm going to go back to the middle, then I'm going to hit the bottom. Back to the middle, and then I end at the top. Cosine starts at the top and ends at the top. So if you have 2 full cosine revolutions, it should look like a W. If it doesn't look like a W, then you put something in the wrong place. So my domain is what? What's my domain? And my range is what? What's the bottom? And what's the top? 2. And that is that. And this is what we are going to continue practicing. We're going to practice and practice and practice because it is so important that you can graph sine and cosine. Because if you can't graph sine and cosine, you will not be able to graph secant and cosecant. So we're going to master this. We're going to keep practicing.